do have possession of a gun that I purchased. He did take it, and I didn't make a big fuss about it. But since he threatened my life, he has the means to do it.
He didn't start doing any of this until after he grabbed the gun, and this is the second. He said 2 times, "Ask me, am I willing to lose my life?" And I don't like that.
All I know is that my daughter and my granddaughter were killed. That's it. They were shot. I know nothing else.
A Dayton 24/7 Now exclusive investigation into what led up to the murder of a Dayton woman and her 6-year-old daughter. Aisha Nelson made several 911 calls begging for help, saying her life was in danger. Just hours later, police say Nelson and her daughter were dead.
June 22, 2022, Dayton, Ohio. A woman sits in her car outside a Family Dollar store, phone pressed to her ear. It's past midnight. Her 6-year-old daughter is with her, tired and confused. This is her 3rd call to 911 in less than 7 hours. Threatened my life. He has the gun. He has the means to do it. Her name is Aisha Nelson. She's 31 years old, a Navy veteran, and a mother trying to survive a nightmare that's been building for weeks. The man she's talking about? Her boyfriend, Waverly Hawes, known as Dante. He's sitting in their house right now, in the basement, with a firearm. Earlier that evening, Aisha called for help. She told dispatch what Dante said to her. She explained that he had her gun, the one she'd purchased, and that he'd asked her twice if she was willing to lose her life. Dispatch told her to drive to a police station. She asked if officers could meet her somewhere discreet instead. She didn't want to make things worse. She waited. No one came, so she called again and again. Now, hours later, she's still waiting. The dispatcher tells her officers are tied up with another call. Aisha says she understands. She'll file a report in the morning. She takes her daughter and drives back to the house. Back to Dante. At 1:30 in the morning, Dante calls 911. His version of the story is different. He says Aisha is acting crazy, that she tore up the house, and he just wants her gone.
Girlfriend in here acting crazy and tore up the house. I just wanted to get out the house. I don't want no problems.
This time, officers respond. They arrive at the Burleigh Avenue home just before 2:00 a.m. Body cameras are rolling. Aisha tells them everything. The threats, the weapon, his history of violence. She begs them to remove him from the house. They talk to Dante, they talk to Aisha, they step outside to discuss what to do. Then they make a decision. What happens next will haunt this family forever.
He didn't start doing any of this until after he grabbed the gun. And this is the second. He said 2 times, "Ask me, am I willing to lose my life?" And I don't like that.
Before we go any further, welcome to Shadows of Crime, the channel where we don't sugarcoat the truth. We dig into the cases that expose the cracks in the system, the failures that cost lives, and the stories that demand answers. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now, smash the like button, and share this video because her story needs to be heard. It needs to be remembered. And here's what I want from you today. Drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. Are you in Ohio? Somewhere else in the States? Across the world? Let us know. Because this case isn't just about one city or one family. It's about a problem that exists everywhere. All right, let's get into it. Dayton, Ohio. Population 140,000. It's the 6th largest city in the state, sitting between Cleveland and Cincinnati. Known as the birthplace of aviation, the Wright brothers made history here. It's also the home of inventions like the cash register and the pop-top can. But like many American cities, Dayton has its struggles. Crime, poverty, a police force stretched thin. This is where Aisha Nelson ended up in 2022. Aisha wasn't from Ohio. She was born and raised in New Jersey by her grandmother alongside her twin sister and other siblings. She was described by her family as intelligent, humble, and kind. The type of person who made sure everyone around her was okay before she worried about herself. Aisha served in the Navy. She was disciplined, strong, and resourceful. After her service, she became a mother to Harper Monroe, a sweet 6-year-old girl who was the center of her world. Aisha's twin sister would later say that losing her felt like losing a piece of herself. The bond between them was deep, and Aisha's absence left a hole that could never be filled.
I really get stuck sometimes. Like, I can't believe that my sister is not here. And then me being her twin sister is like, I'm just broken.
At some point during her time in the military, Aisha met Waverly Dante Hawes. He went by Dante. He was also in the service, and the two began a relationship. Dante wasn't like Aisha. He came from a family with money. His father owned multiple properties in Dayton, including the house on Burleigh Avenue where Dante lived. He didn't have to work. He didn't have to hustle. Everything was handed to him, and he had a past. Dante had been convicted of domestic violence before. He'd beaten the mother of his daughter, his ex, badly enough that it resulted in 2 assault charges. He'd done time for it. Aisha knew this. Her family knew this. But she believed people could change. She believed in second chances. So when Dante asked her to move from New Jersey to Dayton to be with him, she did. She packed up her life, brought her daughter Harper, and moved into the house on Burleigh Avenue. For a while, things seemed fine. Dante's daughter from his previous relationship lived with them part-time. It was a blended family trying to make it work. But beneath the surface, something was brewing. And it wouldn't stay hidden for long. At first, living with Dante seemed manageable. Aisha paid rent, she contributed, she took care of Harper and tried to build stability in a new city where she had no family, no friends, no support system. For Dante, he spent his days playing video games. Hour after hour, day after day, he sat in front of a screen while Aisha handled everything else. She started to notice the imbalance. She wasn't asking for much, just for him to step up, to contribute, to act like a partner instead of a child. When she brought it up, he didn't take it well. The arguments started small, tension here and there, but they escalated. Dante didn't like being challenged. He didn't like being told what to do, especially not in a house his father owned. Then came the control. Dante started making moves to trap Aisha financially. He demanded her credit cards and cut them up in front of her. He drained her bank accounts, leaving her with nothing. No money to leave, no way to get a hotel, no ability to start over somewhere else. Aisha was stuck, and Dante knew it. One night, during another argument about his refusal to work or help around the house, Dante snapped. He went to the closet and pulled out a gun. The gun Aisha had purchased for protection. He held it. He looked at her, and he told her to get out. Aisha reminded him that she paid rent. This was her home, too. She wasn't going anywhere. That's when Dante said it. "Are you really willing to lose your life over this?" He said it in front of Harper, a 6-year-old child watching her mother being threatened with a weapon. Aisha didn't respond. She let things cool down. An hour later, she approached him again, calmer this time, and asked him to put the gun away. She told him she didn't care what he did with it, but he needed to put it down. Dante refused. He told her the gun was registered in his name now. It was his. The threats continued. He told her he'd get his sisters to come and beat her up. He told her she needed to leave or she'd regret it. He asked her again, was she really willing to lose her life over a gun? Aisha realized she was in danger, real danger. She had no money, no car she could rely on, no family within driving distance. Dante had made sure of that, but she wasn't going to just sit there and wait for things to get worse. On June 22nd, 2022, Aisha made a decision. She picked up her phone and called 911. She told the dispatcher exactly what was happening. She explained that Dante had threatened her life, that he had a gun, that he had the means to follow through. She asked for help, and that's when everything started to fall apart. June 22nd, 2022, 5:30 p.m. Aisha Nelson dialed 911 for the first time that day. Her voice was calm, measured. She wasn't screaming or crying. She was clear about what she needed. "He does have possession of a gun that I purchased. He did take it, and I didn't make a big fuss about it, but he threatened my life. He has the means to do it." The dispatcher listened. He told her the best thing to do would be to go to a nearby police station and call from there so an officer could come out and take a report. He also reminded her that there were shelters available if she needed a safe place to stay. Aisha agreed. But she had a request. She didn't want officers showing up at the house. Dante's family lived on the same block. His father owned multiple properties on Burleigh Avenue. She didn't want to create a scene. She didn't want to make things worse, so she asked if officers could meet her at the Family Dollar down the street instead. The dispatcher said he'd send someone. Aisha got Harper, put her in the car, and drove to the Family Dollar. She waited and waited. No one came. Officers were tied up responding to other calls. Dayton's police force was understaffed, stretched thin across the city. Domestic disputes weren't always treated as urgent, especially when the caller seemed calm and wasn't reporting active violence. Aisha sat in that parking lot with her daughter, watching the minutes tick by. Around midnight, she called again. She told the dispatcher she was still waiting. She explained that she'd seen several police cars rush past to another scene, and she understood they were busy. But she was getting worried. It was late. Harper was tired. She didn't know how much longer she could sit there. The dispatcher apologized and said she'd send someone as soon as possible. 20 minutes later, Aisha called back a third time. "At least you all have my calls recorded. I don't know what else to do. I do realize that Dayton does have a shortage of police officers."
At least you guys have my calls recorded. I mean, I don't know what else to do. I do realize that Dayton does have a short of police officers.
She wasn't angry. She wasn't demanding. She was exhausted. She told the dispatcher she was going to go back to the house. She'd file the report in the morning. But she made one more request. If officers did come by, she didn't want them showing up at the front door. She didn't want to upset Dante. "I just don't want them to show up at the house. I don't want to upset him." The dispatcher said she'd make a note of it. Aisha hung up.
I just don't want them to show up at the house.
Right.
I don't want to upset him.
I will go ahead and let them know that. Okay.
She looked at Harper asleep in the back seat. She took a breath, started the car, and drove back to Burleigh Avenue. Back to the house. Back to Dante. For the next hour, things were quiet. Tense, but quiet. Aisha and Dante didn't speak much. She stayed upstairs, he stayed in the basement. But Dante wasn't done. At 1:30 a.m., he picked up his phone and called 911. His tone was different, casual, almost annoyed. "My girlfriend is acting crazy, tore up the house. I just want her to get out. I don't want no problems."
Girlfriend in here acting crazy and tore up the house. I just wanted to get out the house. I don't want no problems.
He painted himself as the victim, the reasonable one, the guy just trying to keep the peace. And this time, officers responded immediately. At 1:40 a.m., less than 2 hours after Aisha's last call, 2 Dayton police officers arrived at the Burleigh Avenue home. Their names were Catherine Santos and Terrell Moore. Their body cameras were recording. Stop right there for a second. Aisha called for help 3 times. She waited for hours. She did everything she was supposed to do. And no one came. With the moment Dante called, officers showed up in minutes. Think about that. Have you ever asked for help and been ignored? Have you ever felt like your voice didn't matter until someone else spoke up? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell us if you think the system failed her before those officers even walked through the door. Now let's talk about what happened when they finally arrived. Officers Catherine Santos and Terrell Moore stepped out of their patrol car at 1:40 a.m. The house on Burleigh Avenue was quiet. No shouting, no broken windows, no visible signs of chaos. Dante met them at the door. He was calm, cooperative, respectful. He told them Aisha had been acting out, tearing up the house, and he just wanted her to leave. He didn't want trouble, he just wanted peace. The officers asked to speak with Aisha. She came to the door. Harper was inside, awake now, watching everything unfold. Officer Santos asked Aisha what was going on. Aisha didn't waste time. She told them the truth. The body camera footage from that night is hard to watch. Not because of what you see, but because of what you know is coming. When Officers Santos and Moore arrived, Aisha opened the door. She wasn't hysterical. She wasn't screaming. She was composed, articulate, and direct. She knew exactly what she needed to say. She started from the beginning. "Last night, we had what I thought was a small argument. He was like, 'Get out. I can't wait for you to leave.' He went in the closet and grabbed the gun. So he was like, "You're going to get out of my house." So I was like, okay, just okay. At this point, he's got the gun in his hand. She explained how she tried to de-escalate, how she waited an hour for things to calm down before asking him to put the weapon away. I was like, "Are you going to give me my gun? I don't care what you do with it, but you need to put it down." He was like, "This is my gun. It's registered in my name now." Aisha told the officers about the escalation, how Dante threatened to have his sisters come and beat her up, how he kept pushing her to leave. It was like, "You really willing to lose your life over a gun? Seriously? You're really trying to provoke me?" She said it clearly. Twice Dante had asked her if she was willing to die. Then she told them about the financial abuse. First off, he was like, "Yeah, I need those credit cards." I said, "You're not getting nothing. I paid the balance on them." He cut my credit cards. He maxed out his own. I ran into some money and paid the balance on both of them. He got into some legal trouble, had to pay a lawyer, had to pay bond. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm not leaving because you're not going to leave me with nothing. Aisha made it clear she had no money, no family nearby, no way out. Dante had made sure of that. Officer Santos asked her what she wanted them to do. "I genuinely do care. I don't like to see nobody go through the system, even the people that deserve it, honestly, because it's a terrible thing, and he's been through that. If he gets locked up for domestic violence or a protection order against him yet again, there won't be the same leniency he had the last time. He got 2 assault charges. He was convicted of assaulting law enforcement and his daughter's mother. Aisha wasn't trying to destroy Dante. She was trying to survive. She just wanted him out of the house for the night so she could breathe, think, and figure out her next move. But the officers didn't see it that way. They went downstairs to talk to Dante. He was sitting in the basement, rocking back and forth in a recliner, calm, controlled. He told them Aisha was overreacting, that she was the one causing problems, that he just wanted her gone. He didn't mention the gun. He didn't admit to the threats. He played the role of the reasonable man being harassed by an emotional woman. The officers came back upstairs and asked Aisha more questions. She repeated everything: the threats, the weapon, the history of violence. She even told them where the gun was: downstairs, in the basement, with Dante. Then the officers stepped outside. The body camera captured their conversation. "I just don't see how this is a situation where she believes it, and she's saying she believes it's a genuine threat."
He didn't start doing any of this until after he grabbed the gun. And this is the second, he said 2 times, "Ask me, am I willing to lose my life?" And I don't like that.
But if that's the case, why are you still here? Why are you putting yourself in this situation? They didn't understand. Or maybe they didn't want to. They decided there wasn't enough evidence to arrest Dante. No visible injuries, no active violence, no explicit threat they could prove. They went back inside and told Aisha they couldn't remove him. They advised Dante to stay away from her. They told Aisha to file a report in the morning. Then they left. At 2:35 a.m., Officers Santos and Moore walked out of that house, got in their car, and drove away. Aisha stood at the door and watched them go. She went back inside. Back to Dante. Back to the basement where the gun was waiting. Let me ask you something. If someone tells you they've been threatened with a gun twice, and the person who threatened them has a conviction for beating someone else, what would you do? Would you walk away? Would you tell them to file a report in the morning? Aisha did everything right. She called for help. She explained the danger. She gave them all the information they needed, and they left her there. Drop a comment right now. Tell us, do you think those officers made the right call? Because what happened next is on them. 2:35 a.m. The officers were gone. The house was quiet again. Aisha went back inside. Harper was still awake, confused and scared by everything that had happened. Aisha tried to comfort her, tried to make her feel safe, even though she didn't feel safe herself. Dante was still in the basement. What happened in the next hour, no one knows for sure. There were no more 911 calls. No neighbors reported hearing anything. No one saw or heard what was building in that house. But somewhere between 3:00 a.m. and 4:00 a.m., Dante made his move. He came upstairs with the gun. Aisha and Harper were shot in the basement. Multiple gunshots, close range. There was no chance to run, no chance to fight back, no chance to call for help one more time. Aisha Nelson, 31 years old, was dead. Harper Monroe, 6 years old, was dead. Dante didn't stay. He grabbed his keys, got in his car, and fled. He drove south, out of Ohio, through Kentucky, and into Alabama. He didn't stop until he reached Folksville, a small town near Huntsville. He pulled over, sat in his car, and turned the gun on himself. By the end of the day on June 23rd, Waverly Dante Hawes was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. 3 people were dead, a mother, a child, and the man who killed them. Back in Dayton, no one knew yet. Aisha's family tried calling her that morning. No answer. They tried again. Still nothing. Something felt wrong. A family member called the Dayton Police Department and asked them to do a welfare check on the house. Officers arrived at the Burleigh Avenue home just after noon. They knocked. No answer. They went inside. That's when they found the bodies. Aisha was in the basement. Harper was with her. Both had been shot. The scene was devastating. Officers immediately began searching for Dante. They tracked his phone, his car, his movements. By the time they located him in Alabama, he was already gone. The investigation confirmed what everyone already knew. Dante had killed Aisha and Harper, then fled the state and took his own life. There would be no trial, no arrest, no justice in a courtroom, just 3 bodies, 3 families destroyed, and a system that failed to protect the 2 people who needed it most. Aisha's mother, Aisha Nelson, would later say, "All I know is that my daughter and my granddaughter were killed. They didn't do their job. Now Aisha and Harper are gone.
All I know is that my daughter and my granddaughter were killed. That's it. They were shot. I know nothing else."
Aisha's family didn't just grieve in silence. They demanded answers. They wanted to know why the officers left, why no report was filed, why Dante wasn't removed from the house when Aisha begged them to take him out. The Dayton Police Department launched an internal investigation. It took weeks. The body camera footage was reviewed. The 911 calls were analyzed. The timeline was reconstructed. And here's what they found. Officers Santos and Moore violated department policy. According to Dayton PD's own protocols, officers responding to domestic violence calls are required to file a report every single time. Even if no arrest is made, even if the situation seems calm, a report must be filed. Santos and Moore didn't file one. They also failed to conduct a proper risk assessment. Aisha told them about the gun. She told them about Dante's prior conviction for domestic violence. She told them he'd threatened her life twice. She told them she had no money and nowhere to go. All of that should have triggered immediate action. Removal of the weapon, removal of Dante, protection for Aisha and Harper. None of that happened. The internal investigation concluded that the officers made critical errors in judgment. Their punishment, a 30-day suspension without pay, a written reprimand, and mandatory retraining on domestic violence response. That's it. No termination, no criminal charges, no real accountability. Aisha's family was outraged. Her mother, Keely, and her sister, Tangia, held a press conference. They stood in front of cameras and said what everyone was thinking. They didn't do their job. Now, Aisha and Harper are gone. It's been months, and we still don't have answers. We still don't have justice. Tangia added something that hit even harder. If the cops did their job, not only would Aisha and Harper be alive, but Dante would be alive too. They failed us. They failed his family as well. She was right. 3 people died that night. And all of it could have been prevented if the officers had just done what they were trained to do. But here's the real twist. The family didn't stop at the internal investigation. They took it further. They filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the city of Dayton, the Dayton Police Department, Police Chief Kamran Afzal, and officers Santos and Moore. They wanted accountability, they wanted change, they wanted justice. The lawsuit was filed in Montgomery County Common Pleas Court. Patricia Wilkinson, the administrator of Aisha and Harper's estates, was listed as the plaintiff. Attorneys Michael Wright and Robert Gresham represented the family. The lawsuit accused the officers of failing to follow proper procedures, failing to perform risk assessments, and failing to investigate the threats. It claimed the city of Dayton failed to provide adequate training for domestic violence calls. Most importantly, it argued that Aisha and Harper's deaths were entirely preventable. Attorney Robert Gresham said it plainly. After only 30 minutes of talking to Aisha and Mr. Hawes, these officers made no decisions and simply left. Less than an hour later, Aisha and Harper were dead.
2 lives were lost, and we're saying that a 30-day suspension is warranted and some retraining. What needs to happen is immediate termination and retraining of the entire.
The family wanted systemic change, better training, mandatory removal policies, accountability. But in 2023, Judge Stephen Dankoff dismissed the lawsuit. His reasoning? Under Ohio law, officers Santos and Moore had no duty to control Dante's conduct. The law only imposes a duty when a special relationship exists, such as when someone is in police custody. Dante wasn't in custody, therefore the officers had no legal obligation to protect Aisha or Harper. The case was dismissed. No accountability, no justice, no change. So let me ask you one last time, do you think the system failed, Aisha? Do you think those officers should have been held accountable? Drop your answer in the comments. Tell us what justice looks like to you, because this conversation isn't over. Aisha Nelson was 31 years old. Harper Monroe was 6. They called for help. They waited. They trusted the system to protect them, and the system walked away. If you or someone you know is in a dangerous relationship, don't wait for someone else to act. Reach out, call a hotline, tell someone, because as we've seen, help doesn't always come when you need it most. Rest in peace, Aisha and Harper. Your story won't be forgotten. Subscribe to Shadows of Crime, hit that like button, share this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there.